Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk about the viral truth, especially as it relates to the data and the numbers that underlie a lot of what we're sold by some of the big contenders in that space. We've heard a lot from a lot of different people about these simple facts, so I'm going to run through them quickly. We know consumers are watching television in a different way, and in fact, we know that television as a synecdoche for watching doesn't work anymore. There's no such thing. It's just people watching stuff. And they don't really care, particularly if they're under a certain age, about the particular place that they're watching it. It's meaningless to them. It's just they're watching stuff. It's somewhere in front of them. It's on a screen. It's cool. That's all they need. The form factor is immaterial. And this change has led to many of us having to reckon with ways that we're going to monetize that change, take advantage of that change, whether we are distributors, platforms, brands, advertisers, agencies. Everybody has had to change based on this change. No one is free from it. And the question is, who's actually taken advantage of this shift? Which one of you in this audience has taken advantage? Well, it turns out, as Sahil was talking about yesterday, that there's a limited number of people who've actually won this particular set of changes, and it is F.A.N.G. So F.A.N.G. is Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, and at the moment they are the only winners of this game. Obviously, some of the incumbents are doing fine and making plenty of profit, but ultimately they're still falling behind these 5 companies. Let's talk about numbers. The thing about the numbers, we've heard from a lot of great companies yesterday, Video Intelligence, InMobi, and several others about data analysis and analytics, aggregation, alliteration generally. And the numbers are, in truth, really simple to understand. It's that these 5 companies are killing it. 25% of global ad spend going to Google or Facebook. The duopoly grabbing more than 60% of the 2017 digital ad spend, Google and Facebook. Amazon's market share, massive market share across the US market. Netflix, whose numbers are astounding. This is what market domination looks like. And this is the most important thing that we all have to deal with right now. But what underpins this dominance? Well, for these companies, what they claim is it's just numbers. They just have everybody in front of their screens, in front of their platforms. So they're the only ones that matter because they have these massive numbers, huge numbers. Look how big those numbers are. Couldn't possibly get any bigger. However, are the digital ads we buy actually being seen? Absolutely, almost half the time, at least 50% of the pixels, for a whole second, hopefully by a human, maybe on a site without porn. But there's no way to verify that. That explains the low CPM. Yep, it's a great deal. So what is up with these numbers? Are they real? Do they have any reference to anything that's actually of value to any of you in this audience? And I would say personally that the answer is no. So how is it that we in this audience, other than the ones in this audience who work at the companies I'm about to insult, so apologies in advance, how can we use this shift to our advantage? Well, first we have to hold these companies to account, and we have to hold them to account vis-a-vis the numbers. That's the only place to start. We hear the rubric of engagement. Yesterday Neil Katz was talking, I think hilariously, about the different ways that Weather Channel has dealt with going through the engagement, the view, the share with Facebook, and how each one mattered in a different way. So I wanted to talk some of those numbers myself. I've talked to a couple people over the past couple days, who sort of tell me the secret about YouTube, which is that even at YouTube they call every view a view, whether or not that view has any relevance to the person who experienced it. Whether they did anything, actually were looking at the screen, were actually listening, versus somebody who spends 15 minutes watching something, both those things are called the same thing by YouTube, a view. They are not the same thing. They are materially different. One is meaningless and empty, and the other one is useful and valuable to everybody in this audience. Facebook. Well, we all know this. We also all know that this is ludicrous. I mean, we're not idiots, right? In this audience, we know that a 3-second autoplay as you're scrolling down a news feed is not meaningful. It does nothing for anyone. It does nothing for your consumer. It does nothing for your audience. It's utterly empty calories. And Twitter, which counts 25 people yelling at each other over the internet as successful engagement. Hey, if I get 100 neo-Nazis telling me that my post, my tweet was bad, as far as Twitter's concerned, that's like 101 engagements. It's fantastic. They can go sell that to an advertiser. Wall Street's happy. Their numbers go up. But it's obviously horseshit. We can agree. We know we're not dumb people. Again, we have to start reckoning with these things because these companies hold so much power over all of us. For instance, right now, 100% of you sitting here in the audience, how many of you are actually paying attention? I mean, a lot of people looking at their phones. It's cool. Keep looking at it. I don't mind. Back there in the back on the left. But let's assume 10% of you are actually paying attention to my speech. That's usually what I get. Those are my engagement numbers. You paid to be here. So as far as Digiday is concerned, 100% engagement. There are people outside, not even in the speech. It's cool. Digiday is good to go. Sahil is happy. His bosses will give him his bonus. Why is this the case? And like, it's almost absurd to have to ask this question because we know, my designer cleverly made this really compelling chart. So they make money by doing these things. They make money by making these claims about engagement, about view, about reach. And they make that money from us. There are a lot of people in this audience who transfer our budgets to these companies based on metrics that these companies give us so that in turn we can keep this economy going. Whatever it takes.